PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Okay, and we have money for tickets, and we have a blanket in case it gets cold. And I think... What are you doing?
I gotta load this in the car.
We're not... No, leave that where it is. We're not...
Why?
Because where we're going, they have plenty of snacks and good things to eat, and I'm pretty sure it's illegal to bring a grill to the drive-in.
Oh, fine. I know, it is. You're probably right. All right.
Get in.
We gotta get the kids in the car.
What kids? We don't have any kids.
We most certainly do have kids. Barry and Hubert and Fred the Purse Duck and Captain Ameriduck.
Those are all
and
stuff.
Kevin Chef Duck and
Honey!
And Captain and Admiral McDuck up there on the top. What?
Those are all stuffed animals.
But they want to see the movies too.
Then they can ride in the trunk.
No! They'll suffocate. That's not nice.
All right, put them on the back of the window where everybody will just think they're stuffed animals. We know the truth.
Okay, fine. Well, off we go as we kick off our road trip, sort of, virtual road trip, in the summertime. Because all summer long we have a brand new show for you and we hope that you will like it. I think they will.
I think they will, too. It's going to be really exciting because we're going to the drive-in. We're going to the drive-in. Yay! It's summer!
I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
And it's all going to be lots of fun right here on
Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer!
Good evening, folks, and a hearty welcome to our drive-in theater.
Cinema. Drive-in summer. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema. Drive-in summer.
Woo, yeah.
All right, kids are all... Would you... Honey.
Cabbage patch.
Will you stop grooving, please?
Cabbage patch. Ah! Ow. My back. Ow.
They're going to throw us out if you don't stop that. Welcome to Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 569. Today and for the next 14 weeks, we are going to be bringing you summertime entertainment at the drive-in. It's all about helping our lovely drive-ins in the U.S. and around the world get some much-needed love.
Yeah.
Back in the days when drive-ins were at their top peak, there was 4,000 of them. Now there's less than 500.
Wow.
And it's and 300 and some. And there's only 3 in the state of Massachusetts where we are.
Yeah.
In the whole state. There's one in Leicester, there's one in Wellfleet, and there's the infamous Menden Twin, which is really well known for its gourmet snack bar and its wine bar that they opened last year.
Yep, and the beer garden.
Never mind the idea of a wine bar at a drive-in, but
well,
That's kind of worrisome.
If it gets people in, it gets people in.
And they get cut off after the first movie, so it's like that's something. But it's
that's more than you can say for some restaurants where they'll or bars where you drink till you get sloshed.
So all summer long, we're going to be doing drive-in friendly programming. We're going to have some of our regular features. We got some brand new features for the summer. We're going to be shouting out to drive-ins all over the country. If you are an owner or an employee of a drive-in in the U.S. or anywhere else, we have a form for you to fill out. We'll have a link to it in our show notes. Go over, fill it out, and you will get to be a part of our weekly drive-in salutes here on Subject Cinema and in print form on eCinemaOne later in the week.
Yeah.
We hope that you will come. We're here to give you publicity and here to make everybody aware that drive-ins are fun.
And they're back. Actually, they never really left.
And more new ones are opening all the time.
And we want people to go to your drive-in and check out your great shows and stuff like that. So definitely, drop us a line. Let us know you're out there, and we will definitely talk you up on the show.
I have a definite confession to make.
Uh-oh.
I have not been to the drive-in since the early 80s because I've never had a car since then. So it's been 30-plus years. If I had one, we'd go. We'd enjoy it. The two of us would enjoy relaxing in a car.
Oh, definitely.
Hanging out, being able to chat during the movie. And
other things.
Yeah, and other things.
What? I meant eat like popcorn and stuff.
I have great memories as a child. We used to go when I was little all the time in various places in Spokane, the Spokane, Washington area where I lived, and then when we moved to Ohio in Newark and Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
And,
See,
all of those are now shuttered.
A little different than me because you lived all over the place growing up. You kind of went between Ohio and Washington and back and forth.
Yeah.
I've only been here.
Yeah.
And
there were a lot more drive-ins up here than you remember.
Yeah, that's definitely true. When you started doing research about this, you asked me, how many drive-ins do you remember? And I'm like, I remember one, And then you were like, well, do you remember this one? I'm like, no.
You remember the one you remember is where Showcase Cinemas is now, where we go see things now.
I remember
was the Revere Drive-In.
Yep, I remember the Revere Drive-In.
But you don't remember the Suffolk Downs Drive-In.
Nope.
And you don't remember the Saugus Drive-In.
Nope.
And they were both very visibly where you would have been.
Which is embarrassing because I grew up in Saugus.
And your grandmother lived right across the street from the Suffolk Downs one.
Yeah. But where my grandmother's house was, I wouldn't have looked over that way.
Right.
So, when I was little, I would no. But, yeah, I have a confession to make, too, which I know just some people got very nervous about, but it's not that kind of confession. I have been to the drive-in a grand total of once.
Yep.
My parents didn't do the drive-in thing. I think it was probably for several different reasons, probably the biggest one being it really didn't fit in with my dad's work schedule, because my dad worked, crazy hours at the airport, so that really didn't happen. Also, there was a theater in Saugus anyway at the time, the General Cinema. So when my mom wanted to take me to the movies, that's where we went.
I cut my teeth on drive-ins when I was a kid. There were so many of them in Spokane that we could easily get to.
I remember going to, like I said, one drive-in. My entire life I went to one in Revere. And I thought Revere had one screen, but other people said it had two. Yeah, I don't remember that. But the thing is, the one time I went, my sister wasn't born yet, which means I was 4 or under.
It would have been pre-1972.
Yeah.
November 1972.
So, the one thing I remember, I couldn't tell you what the movie was, and I did go with my mom and dad, and I remember the screen being really big, but I don't remember really paying attention to what was on it. The one thing I do remember was at the bottom of the screen, there's grass and stuff like that. But there was also a little place where the kids could play. There was a swing set and slides and, little Jungle Jimmy type stuff, which my mother was absolutely like, you are not going on any of that. You don't know any of those kids. That stuff doesn't look safe. Get back here. So,
I only got to go once my whole time.
And then, like I said, after that, it's awful because I don't remember when that drive-in closed. I remember it did close, but I don't remember when it closed. And I remember it stayed defunct and derelict for quite a bit before it was finally torn down. And they put in, at the time, the showcase cinemas that they put in there, which originally had 10 screens, I think, when it first opened up. Maybe.
I think it only had 8 when it first opened up, and they expanded to 18 at one point.
When they started. Well,
and then now the building there now is brand new. It was built in 1999.
Yeah.
The old one burned down after the first one opened.
Mm-hmm. Even when it first opened, though, it was like, wow, this has 8 screens.
That's God, that's not brand new. That's almost 20 years old. It's brand new. Oh, no, it's not brand new. It's been
but
there
I'm
for 20
saying
years.
when it first opened up, it was like, oh my gosh, this has 8 screens. It was like that was a real big deal back then. But I remember...
Revere Cinema is actually one of the biggest cinemas in the state right now. It's 20 screens and we've even got... AMC Boston Common Beat. They're only 19 screens, and ArcLight's only going to be 15. So we're still one of the biggest in the state.
I remember going by other drive-ins. I remember when we would go to visit my aunt sometimes up in Lawrence, we used to go by. There was a drive-in on the way. I couldn't tell you what town it was in, but I remember seeing it. But around here, there weren't a lot that I can recall, but then you started doing research for the show, and like you said, you were like, oh, there was a drive-in in Belle Isle Marsh Road area in Revere. Do you remember that one? I'm like, no.
I knew that. No. I just happened to look over there one day. The Belle Isle Marsh Reservation, as it's called now, is right across the street from the Suffolk Downs T-Stop, which straddles the East Boston Revere city line. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the entrance, and I'm like, turned to Kim. I'm like, did there used to be a drive-in over here? I don't think so. The entrance looks an awful lot like a drive-in entrance.
Yeah, it does.
And sure enough, I went online and started doing some research and found photos of the marquee and
you asked my mom.
And I asked her mom, and the Suffolk Downs Drive-In Theater was there from 1957 to 1974.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't really remember it. I would have been like 6.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the one in Saugus, though, which was up on Route 1.
It was where Purity was.
Yeah, up that way. I don't remember there ever being a drive-in there. I don't, which is, I don't know what that says. I don't, like I said, I remember also going that way, like going up to Peabody and stuff like that, because sometimes we would go, after Saugus's theater closed, the General Cinema there, we would sometimes go up to Peabody to the General Cinema up there, and on the rare occasion we would go up to Danvers, which wasn't that much further away.
Right.
That's where I saw Superman the movie, was the one at Danvers. But I don't remember the one in Saugus at all, the drive-in in Saugus, not even a little. That's just ridiculous, though.
We have a great new site all summer long. You can find it at our regular website, Subject Cinema, and at the very bottom of the website is a little box for you to share your drive-in memories with us. Mm-hmm. You can go on your computer, click on the box, record up to 5 minutes of your memories, and send them to us, and we would love to use them on the air. So go over to Subject Cinema at subjectcinema.com, find the drive-in memories box at the bottom of the page, and if you have a microphone, click away. If not, find it on your phone. It's mobile-friendly, and do it from there.
Yep.
And we will play as many of them as we can get on the show in weeks to come. We hope you'll share your memories of the drive-in with us, as our friends Eric Lyon and Anthony Lamberti will be doing in future shows. They are both a bit derelict this week. Both of them have reasons that they couldn't get into the first show.
Yeah.
Eric was plagued with tornadoes this weekend and in Missouri, and Anthony's got some family issues going on. So it's like, okay.
Do you have any real big memories from the drive-in?
Yes, I have one explosively good memory.
Yeah?
I saw Swiss Family Robinson at the drive-in when I was 5 or 6, and my mother was never allowed to have control of my hair ever again.
I don't see how those things correlate, but
Mom
okay.
kept me, because Frances had long hair. Frances Robinson had long hair, like a Beatles cut. And I'm like, I want hair like Frances. So, from that point on, I would never listen to Mom when it came to haircuts. And I would have long hair throughout most of my life as a result.
Okay.
So that's a drive-in influence.
Yeah. We've been doing research about this subject for a little bit.
For several years, actually, because we've done a couple other drive-in shows over the years, but not a whole series of them.
A lot of the drive-ins, as the decades went on, drive-ins have always been more a place for families and teenagers and stuff like that. More teenagers and families, I think, would be a little bit more accurate. So the kind of movies they showed at drive-ins have always been a little bit, they showed first-run things at drive-ins, obviously, but they were also leaning more towards stuff that would bring in the teenagers, the monster movies, the beach movies. Mm-hmm. And as things went further and further along, though, drive-ins got
stuck into going into porn. It was all they really had to fall on, and we're not going to touch those areas.
No, we're not going to talk about porn. We've made up our
mind. Subject Cinema is a sort of family show. We do get overboard a couple of times every now and then, but the idea is to be fun and have enjoyable times. And so we'll be doing some grindhouse stuff, but we're not going to go toward the pornography.
To be perfectly honest with you, though, when we started talking about doing this show and stuff like that, and you had brought up that certain theaters ran pornography.
You didn't know
like
it. Revere ended that way too.
I was like, how could a drive-in show porn? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You'd think that would have been illegal because it's
be where I would do one of my Carson eye takes if we were on camera.
It's outside. People could see that. You could, for one thing, you could cause an accident.
Well, there's trees and fences and stuff that are designed to prevent that.
Well, I could understand that if it was a drive-in that was way out in the
even in towns, they're supposed to build up stuff when they're doing stuff to keep them. There was screens all the way around it when they were doing porn in Revere. Which you don't remember.
Nope, I don't.
We have a lot of great stuff, including a review of the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, some old stuff, and a lot of great drive-in oriented stuff for this week's show. Drive-In Summer is brought to you by GoingAttractions.com. The definitive story of the American drive-in from director April Wright is the name of the movie that she's done, and it is utterly fantastic. If you've never seen it, please check it out. And driveins.com, the definitive site for drive-in information about drive-ins in the USA and all over the world, and they can be found at drive-ins.com.
Awesome.
Right, and we'll have more from those and more and get started with our regular stuff
when Subject Cinema returns.
Subject Cinema! Drive-In Summer!
Want to know what new films are coming out this weekend? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out 3 Minute Weekend, our weekly roundup of all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each weekend. We've got the 411 on all the new blockbusters, indies, and video-on-demand choices for you each week. 3 Minute Weekend, every Friday morning from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
Don't forget to subscribe to Subject Cinema on iTunes. Click on the iTunes link on our sidebar or search for Subject Cinema on iTunes. Once you're there, click subscribe. It's that easy. And don't forget to leave us a comment on our iTunes page and tell everyone what you think of Subject Cinema too.
Subject Cinema! Drive-In Summer!
The main screen.
Pirates had infected the seas for generations. So I vowed to eliminate them all. And then there was this boy, Jack Sparrow. Follow him in. He took everything from me and filled me with rage.
The dead have taken command of the sea. We're searching for the girl.
Not another one, please. There's some wrong.
You've had enough.
Why?
You've had enough.
I know, we messed up my cholesterol medicine, too. Johnny Depp is back as Captain Jack Sparrow, along with a new supporting cast for the most part, in the 5th installment of the ongoing series that Disney has made a ton of money for, and it's showing at theaters and drive-ins all over the country. This is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Let me try that again. Dead Men Tell No Tales. And my tongue apparently doesn't work. Give us the rundown.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales is a story of father and sons, daughters and fathers, love and redemption, and breaking curses. It follows the adventures of Henry Turner, the son of Will Turner, one of the characters that we followed in the first Pirates films. When we last saw Will, he was the new captain of the Flying Dutchman, the ship that is cursed to roam the seas forever, ferrying the souls who have died at sea to the afterlife. At the beginning of the film, we see Henry as a 10-year-old, where he...
12, actually, according to the notes.
Okay, well, sorry. And he contacts his father by almost drowning himself, telling his father he has found a way to break the curse that binds his dad to the sea and keeps him from being able to come back home, only setting foot on land every 10 years. The key to breaking the curse, in fact, all of the curses that are laid on people of the sea, involves finding the mystical Trident of Poseidon. Will doesn't believe this exists and tells Henry to forget about him and to forget about going to sea. We go to 9 years later, and Henry is now a strapping young lad, who is on a British Navy warship, and the ship is chasing a pirate ship, and Henry tries to warn the crew that they are in serious danger because they are approaching part of the sea known as the Devil's Triangle.
Dun, dun, dun.
You have to figure with a name like that, it's probably not going to be a place where you get those little drinks with umbrellas.
With a name like Devil's Triangle, it has to be bad.
Yeah. Smucker's joke. Henry, for all of his warnings and trying to save people's lives, winds up chucked in the brig. Well, guess what? If somebody warns you you're all doomed, there's probably a pretty good chance they know what they're talking about.
Doomed, doomed, I tell you. They're all doomed.
Thank you, crazy old man from the slasher movies. The warship is besieged by another ship, which is one of the more scary things you've ever seen in your life. A ship manned by the undead and captained by the evil Captain Salazar, who has his crew slaughter everybody on the ship except for one man. He always leaves one man alive to tell what happened. And the man, the lucky man in this case, turns out to be Henry, who is given a message for Captain Jack Sparrow that Captain Salazar is trying to find him and death is hot on his heels. Henry manages to make it to a nearby island where he's promptly caught and branded as a traitor because his clothing gives him away as being a disgraced Navy person. He escapes from his prison and winds up being helped / hindered / not sure what was happening there by a young woman named Karina Smith, who is sentenced to be hung for the crime of witchcraft, which I didn't think they were still hanging people for in the 1700s, but there you go.
Witchcraft.
What?
Witchcraft, which should be hung from.
Not witch space craft.
Oh, okay.
Witchcraft. One word.
Oh.
That thing they do up in Salem.
Oh, okay, that kind of witchcraft. Okay.
Now, the reason that she's being accused of being a witch is because she's a woman and is actually a woman that uses her brains for more than, being a housewife and a baby maker. She's skilled in astronomy and horology. So because she's involved with science, she must be a witch. Yay, sexism! Ugh. While all of this craziness is going on, a new safe has been brought to this village where the local magistrate is bragging that no one will ever be able to break into this safe, blah, blah, blah. And when they open the rather impressive metal box, it's occupied by a very drunk, very familiar figure. Captain Jack Sparrow and his crew who have decided they are going to liberate the money in the safe. Also, Captain Jack is not alone in the safe.
He's with the magistrate's wife.
Heyo. So apparently something else got liberated too. A wild chase ensues, as in all of these movies, and basically by the end of it, Jack winds up taking Henry and Karina with him because they need to find this Trident of Poseidon, because Captain Salazar is not making an empty threat when he and his crew manage to flee the Devil's Triangle because of an act of selfishness on Jack's part. He takes up the mantle of slaughtering every pirate on the seas that he comes in contact with, and thus begins a frantic chase to keep the seas from running red with blood.
With Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, Anthony Della Torre in a cameo as the younger Jack Sparrow, Javier Bardem as Captain Salazar, Brenton Thwaites as Henry Turner, Kayla Scolodario as Karina Smith, Kevin McNally back on board as Gibbs, Jack's friend and first mate, Jeffrey Rush also back on board as Captain Barbosa, who was originally the captain of the Black Pearl, Orlando Bloom as Captain Will Turner, or well, now technically he's Davy Jones, I suppose, because he's head of the Flying Dutchman. With Golshifty Farani as a sea witch and ally of Captain Barbosa, Stephen Graham as Scrums, David Wenham as Scarfield, a officious Navy officer, and Martin Kleba as Marty, a member of Jack Sparrow's crew, with a cameo from Keira Knightley as Elizabeth Turner, and Paul McCartney, who you will find pretty easy when you see him.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is the fifth one of these, and we neither one cared for number 4, and we were both kind of ambivalent about number 3.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think this one redeemed itself. It's not perfect. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I have to be perfectly honest, I had a lot of fun. It's exciting. There are some parts that are really quite frightening. I have to say that, I love Javier Bardem. I absolutely love him. But just once, Javier, please, for the love of all that's decent and good.
Say something where there's not something wrong with your jaw.
Rescue a puppy. Help an old lady across the street.
No. You can't do that. That's Dane DeHaan's job.
Just stop playing evil, scary people, man. You're haunting my dreams. His Captain Salazar is this creature that is so driven by pride and revenge and just this
creepiness.
Total creepiness. The way that they did the makeup and the CGI work was really something special. I don't know what was actually worse, Captain Salazar or his crew, because these are guys that literally, some of them are just bits and pieces of people being held together by dark magic, and it was really scary to look at. There was some fun action scenes, the whole beginning robbery attempt with the safe that winds up. Think of those news footage things you see where they show somebody trying to steal an ATM.
This would have been a clip from World's Dumbest, without a question.
Yeah. Picture that on a 1700 scale, and you've got what happens. There's some very nice twists involved in this. And I have to be honest, this is another movie that, like another film from earlier in the year, I thought, I went into this thinking, oh, this is going to be so much fun, it's going to be great and exciting and stuff like that, and by the end of it, I'm bawling my eyes out. It's, I don't know if it's the movies or me or what, but I had a good time. I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. And I have to say, I really liked Brenton Thwaites. I hope we see Henry Turner again. I really do. I thought it was fun. It's not perfect, like I said, but it's fun. And Johnny Depp basically picks up and walks away with every scene that he's in. Although, like you, I had a hard time understanding him for the first hour or so. Because
he was overly drunk in the first hour of the film.
He's so drunk, it's like, can we get somebody in here who speaks drunkenese, please? Because I can't understand what he's saying. I'm sorry, I don't get it. I had fun. What about you?
Well, I'll be honest. I really hated the third and fourth films in this series. I was not a huge fan of either one of them, and so I was kind of thinking, well, geez, they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. This was the best film since number 1. I really had a ball with this. I thought that there was some serious problems in the first half hour, most of which had me really straining to figure out what Captain Jack was saying.
Yeah.
But the story once the story got going, it's a film that definitely sits up there with the first two, which were both pretty good, although I like the first one best of all of them. And they have a really appealing cast.
They do.
Depp is always fantastic as Captain Jack. He's made a stock and trade out of this, and would have done. I don't think he's done that with any other character in a major way than this one. He tried with Tonto, but that movie bombed. Brenton Thwaites, who is becoming more and more known, he's an Australian actor who is best known for horror films so far in America.
And playing Prince Philip in Maleficent.
Prince Philip in Maleficent, right.
Which that really wasn't his fault that character was unmemorable, because Philip is just so bland.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of a twit. Here, he commands this movie from beginning to end. Both the young version, which is played by, does it say here? I don't see the name of it.
Yeah, actually there is. Give me a second. Just
all right, you can find the one who played the young version at the beginning.
Hold up.
Because it didn't say. Oh, it probably did there somewhere. Lewis McGowan played young Henry.
Yeah.
They were both really great at it. But he really takes command of this film, and he's actually in more of the film than anybody else, I think. Kayla Scardalario, best known for the Maze Runner series of movies so far, really terrific as the female lead. Although, she was Kevin Costnering all over the place. You notice when you first see her, she's got a slight British accent. I am not a witch, Yeah. And by the end of the movie, the accent had completely disappeared. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know why they chose to do it that way, but they make a very appealing couple, and they have great chemistry with Depp and his people. I was bowled away by the special effects on this thing.
Yeah.
The crew there of Salazar and his crew was just like, I can't even believe how they did this. Bardem, according to Wikipedia, called his makeup having cold chicken breasts glued to his face. Is what it looked like.
Which have to be better than having warm chicken breasts glued to your face.
The action was great. The score was fantastic. Everything was really good, and the 3D brought some really good depth to it. And again, this is not one of those movies that uses the 3D to over effect. I don't even think they did use it at all.
It's not stuff flying at your face.
Right. It's just used to create a natural sense of depth, and it was beautiful. I love the character played by Golshifty Farahani. I wish we'd seen more of her.
Yeah.
and she's quite an interesting. And I mean, okay, so she's a witch, and your guys aren't hassling her.
Oh.
Not really.
Yeah, because she's a witch that looks like she could seriously F you up.
Yeah. And of course, having Jeffrey Rush is always a plus. Yeah, he's good in everything, and I love
the end of this film. He has one scene that just completely.
See the aforementioned why she's bawling
my eyes out. Just completely started hysterically weeping. Sorry, and I don't know if I would have done that with another actor, but it's just the way Mr. Rush said his lines that was just so compelling.
Right. What's your score?
I give Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales a B+. Very enthusiastic B+.
It's a very fun film, and is easily the best since the first two. Because the third and fourth were just such disappointments. It gets back to the fun that we didn't find in those two.
The third had such a sad ending to me, and the fourth one was just like every 5 seconds I'm going, what?
Yeah, and the fourth one also left open a cliffhanger at the end of it that wasn't resolved in this film.
No.
The character, Sam Claflin's young cleric character, and then one of the mermaids getting away. And we saw nothing of that, so that may pop up later or may not. But in any case, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales now showing everywhere. around the country in both theaters and drive-ins. Don't miss it while it's there.
Captain Jack's back, baby.
Subject Cinema. Drive this summer.
eCinemaOne is your choice for great info and commentary about the world of film and entertainment. Daily trailer postings, the latest news and film reviews, commentary about the state of the industry, the weekly Subject Cinema and 3-Minute Weekend podcast, and so much more you won't believe it. New material is being posted daily, so join us each day and see what you're missing out on. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaOne from PNRNetworks, eCinemaOne.com. Want to listen to Subject Cinema on the go? Check out Stitcher. You can access all the latest episodes right from iPhone or Android. Check it out. Click on the Stitcher logo on our sidebar or go to Stitcher.com and search for your favorite PNR Network show. Get started today.
Subject Cinema. Drive this summer. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer Salutes are co-presented by driveins.com, your one-stop source for all information on drive-ins around the U.S. and around the world. You can find it at drive-ins.com. Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer salutes the Skyview Drive-In at 5700 North Belt West in Bellevue, Illinois. The Skyview Drive-In has been in operation for 68 years. They currently have 2 screens and are open yearly from the end of March through the middle of October. They have a staff of 26 people, all who work at the ticket takers and the concession stand and such. They have 4 other regular theaters in the area, but they're the only drive-in within 75 miles of their location. So they're one of those rare places in the Midwest. There's quite a few of them still left in the Midwest that hasn't got a terrible competition from another drive-in, but hardtops, as they're called, the indoor theaters. There's quite a few of them around there. They are the only drive-in in the St. Louis metro area, and do cater to the family audiences with decent pricing and the movie selection. They definitely have T-shirts available. You can buy them only at the concession stand. And have an email newsletter. If you're in the area, they can send you what they're showing every single week. They are also one of the few drive-ins left in the country that still has a playground. Playgrounds are hard to get a hold of these days because the insurance costs have skyrocketed through the roof. And if you want to check it out, we'll have the website link on our their website linked on our show notes. And if you live in the area, take in a show at Skyview Drive-In in Belleville, Illinois, and tell them you heard about them on Subject Cinema. And that is why it's this week's one of this week's Subject Cinema Drive-In Salutes. Salute!
Is the next step the transplantation of the human brain?
The giant locusts have reached the Chicago South Side and nearby suburbs.
Flag on the moon. How did it get there? That bird is extraterrestrial.
Now that's ridiculous, Eulabelle.
Jerry just tried to kill me twice in the last 5 minutes.
Because all you of Earth are idiots. There are eyewitness accounts which state that monster scorpions have swarmed around the wreckage.
B-movies.
Supposing a more powerful form of royal jelly could be obtained. From the queen wasp, for example.
Socially, the queen wasp is on level with the black widow spider.
Oh, no. There might be danger.
Those are my terms, Mr. Sintra. Janet Starlin will be your next guinea.
A woman of fantastic desires.
Back in the 1950s and 60s, drive-ins were frequently the place to go for your average horror films. They were fun, they were stupid, they were goofy, the special effects were often terrible, and they were made by minor, but still well-known studios in Hollywood. And they came to be known as B-movie double features, and all summer long we're going to have a ton of them for you. Starting with this one from 1960, I believe, right?
1959.
1959.
1959's The Wasp Woman, directed by Roger Corman and Jack Hill.
Bzzz.
Which opens up on a shot of bees.
Yep.
Which tells you what you're in for with this movie.
Bzzz.
We've
talked about this before.
Actually,
but in all fairness, it's one of my favorite B movies because it's just fun to watch.
See what he did there?
Oh, well, yeah, B movies. One of my favorite B movies. Not one of my favorite Wasp movies,
That's
though.
sweet, honey.
Oh, jeez.
Can we stop now? I mean, I love puns, but this is just getting ridiculous. All right, anyway. On to the story.
You just want to be the queen bee.
That's Miss Queen Bee to you.
Where's your honeycomb?
Family show.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway.
The story of the Wasp Woman goes like this. It is the story of Janice Starlin, who is a person she's a lady that is in charge of a large cosmetics company. She is a former model and former beautiful lady, who is, That's
pretty presumptuous.
Well,
she's still a beautiful lady. She just doesn't
beautiful-
perceive herself as that because she's getting older.
Yes, she is a beautiful lady, but she's being told that she's a beautiful, mature lady, which is salesman's talk for you're too old. And in a business where, it's all based on beauty and surface appearance and stuff like that, looking old is obviously going to be the kiss of death. So she's desperate to find a way to look better. Into her life comes a Dr. Eric Zinthrop, who may not be a mad scientist, but is definitely a couple of French fries short of a Happy Meal.
Yeah, and he's not even an angry scientist, which sucks.
He has been working on, and we saw at the beginning of the film in the prologue, got fired from a honey farm because he was experimenting with wasps. And he has been working on a formula that is involving, the formula is made up from an extraction process of extracting enzymes from the royal jelly of the queen wasp. First of all, I didn't know there was such a thing as a queen wasp or the royal jelly of said. Anyway, moving on. Dr. Zinthrop claims that his medicine, chemical, whatever you want to call it, is a revolutionary thing that will reverse the aging process and bring back a woman's lost youth, on and on and on. Janice hears about this and is definitely interested and wants to fund research to, find out if this actually works, even though the people around her think this guy is a quack. She breaks into the scientist's lab when she gets a little impatient and injects herself with some of the formula. Now, what she doesn't know is that Dr. Zinthrop tried the formula earlier on an animal experiment, boo hiss, and while it did work, it also drove the animal berserk. Before Dr. Zinthrop can warn her of the side effects, the nasty side effects of, craziness, he winds up being hit by a car and is in a coma. The thing is, the formula actually works. Janice becomes young and beautiful again. There's just a teeny little side effect. Janice also becomes a murderous wasp hybrid and thus begins a murder spree upon people in her company.
Mm-hmm. With Susan Cabot as Janice Starlin, Fred Isley as Bill Lane, Barbara Morris as Mary Dennison, William Rorick as Arthur Cooper, Michael Mark as Dr. Zinthrop, Frank Gersel as Les Howman, Bruno Vasoda as the Night Watchman, plus Roy Gordon, Carolyn Hughes, Lynn Cartwright, Frank Wolf, Lanny Mars, and Philip Berry. The effects on this film are not terrific.
No.
But it is fun to watch.
I have so many flippin' problems with this movie.
There is no such thing as a queen wasp, by the way.
Yeah.
There is, wasps are generally solitary. There's only one type of wasp that has a community, and it's more like a commune than having a queen and servants.
So, no queen, no royal jelly, screw you movie. I have so many problems with this film. The biggest problem, in my opinion, is the poster of the film, which you can go look up on Wikipedia, which is a big fat case of false flippin' advertising.
Yeah, it is. It is. But it's 1959. It's a B movie, so...
No, it's a WASP movie. We've already established that.
There, okay?
We've established
Don't
that.
Start that stuff again.
The poster of the film shows a giant wasp-like creature with the face of a woman attacking a man and shredding his clothing, and she's obviously going to do something, aberrant with him. This does not appear in the movie at all whatsoever. When Janice turns into the wasp hybrid, it's actually backwards. She still has the body of a human being, but she has the face and claws or something of a wasp. I don't know if wasp...
And stingers.
Yeah, in her hands, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Because she's not running around stinging people with where a stinger usually is.
No, she's not.
And also the fact that whenever Janice changes into this wasp creature hybrid thing, doohickey, whatever, terribly scientific upon my part, I know, the warning that people get that something's going on is they start hearing this really loud buzzing sound, and then she attacks as the wasp woman. I have a question. Where the hell is the buzzing sound coming from? When you hear that buzzing sound from bees and stuff like that, I'm assuming that comes from their wings going so fast. She has no wings, which she really could have used at the end of the movie. You know what I mean?
That's mean. Yeah, I know.
I'm like, where the hell is this damn buzzing sound coming from besides the Foley artist? This movie stinks.
It stings.
It does sting. But it is actually better than the other part of our double feature.
Oh, it's way better.
Oh, boy.
It was originally released with Beasts from Haunted Cave, directed by Monty Hellman. Casting from this movie, let's just go over it real quick before we give you the slight synopsis. Michael Forrest as Gil Jackson, Sheila Noonan as Gypsy Boulay, Frank Wolf as Alexander Ward, Richard Sinatra as Marty Jones, Wally Campo as Byron Smith, with Lynn Ostrad, Chris Robinson, and Jacqueline Zeman, later of General Hospital, in a cameo role. Give us a little bit of the rundown here. This one was terrible.
This was one of the worst monster movies we've ever seen. This was one of the worst monster movies we've ever seen, and we sat through Monster a Go-Go. So that tells you something.
Only Misty, though. We have never seen it straight.
I don't think I could.
I don't think I could either.
Directed by Monty Hellman, this film tells the story of a group of criminals who intend to steal some gold from a bank vault in Deadwood, South Dakota. Okay, note to criminals. Anywhere where you go that the word dead is involved, don't go there. It never works out. So the criminals go and rob the bank, and they wind up at this cave to try and hide their ill-gotten loot and stuff like that. They wind up finding this beast in this mine near the bank location, and there's cops and robbers and the aforementioned beast, and this is one of the worst monsters on screen ever. For one thing, it's hardly on screen, number one. Number two, when it actually does appear on... How would you describe this? It's like cotton candy or spider webs or somebody spit all over the screen or... it's really bad. It is one of the worst monster movies I've ever seen. Yeah. Ever.
And it featured Richard Sinatra, who was a cousin to Frank Sinatra. And Chris Robinson inside the Beast costume. Chris would later go on to play, I forgot the name of his character, that's terrible, the main doctor guy on General Hospital for about 30 years. So there were two future General Hospital alumni here.
I guess it's supposed to be some kind of spider-like
it is.
Thing. So apparently it's a spider-like thing that
Dr. Rick Weber. Sorry, I had to look it up.
So it's some kind of spider-like thing that spun a web around itself and is too stupid to get out of it. Seriously, it looked like somebody decided to take cotton candy and that pink stuff that you use to insulate the inside of your house.
Fiberglass.
And dumped it on some poor bastard actor and went, go be a monster.
Yeah.
Good grief.
It could be worse. It could
sucks.
be aliens that are made up of a gorilla costume and a deep diving helmet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So these two movies were opened together in 1959. Wasp Woman, easily the best of the two, and I enjoy watching The Wasp Woman. It's a good film. It's for fun. It's a fun,
dopey. I mean, this movie is just the thing about Beast of Haunted Cave. It's so draggy. It's like, when is something going to happen?
It's almost Coleman Francis level, too, which is not helpful.
There is just so much talky, blah, blah in this movie that it's like, oh my gosh, monster, please show up.
I don't know about Beast from Haunted Cave, but Wasp Woman is now in public domain. You can see them mostly on a lot of online streaming sites, usually for free if you look around, or free with little ads. Yep. And, I believe they're also available on all the majors too, for free, because they're mostly, or maybe they might be charged there because they can. Yeah. But if you've never seen them, if you want to see a true double feature B movie, then you got to watch both of them. But if you have a choice and just have time for one, catch The Wasp Woman.
Yeah, before she catches you.
Buzz. Oh, behave.
Oh, brother.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Popcorn and candy. Yum, yum. Oh, boy. And an orange, too.
There are 2 minutes remaining before the show starts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The management of this drive-in theater is happy to announce you can enjoy your favorite form of movie entertainment regardless of rain. No longer will it be necessary to let rain spoil your fun. Now you can keep your windshield clear and dry with a drizzle guard. Simply attach it to your windshield, and in a jiffy you're enjoying the movie without constantly running your windshield wipers. A drizzle guard will save you gasoline and wear and tear on your battery. After the show is over, all you do is take off your drizzle guard, roll it up, and it's ready to be used again, just like an umbrella. So next time it rains, don't sizzle in a drizzle. Get yourself a drizzle guard and enjoy the show. Drizzle guards are on sale now at the concession center.
The show will start in 1 minute.
There's a movie today called Gas, or It Became Necessary to Destroy the World in Order to Save It.
It features Country Joe and the Fish.
It's about a scientist who perfects a gas that destroys everyone over 25 years old.
Over 25?
Yes, this gas kills everyone over 25.
It's being tested in a theater near you.
See it with your folks.
The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Subject Cinema.
Lively as summer. Time to visit the dark side of the moon again as we head back to Moon 13 and the 13 Report, all of the new episodes from the new season, the revival season, first season of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And today, long, long ago, in a galaxy not so far, far away. and really bad imitation. Wouldn't you say?
I was gonna smack the crap out of
I would never do that to you. From 1979, Carolyn Munro and Marjo Gortner and David Hasselhoff in Star Crash.
Okay.
Give us the rundown.
Star Crash.
I can sum up Star Crash in one word.
Mm-hmm.
Ah!
Did you step on a Lego? What was that?
That was me describing Star Crash.
Well, it's not like it could have been worse. It could have been directed by Coleman Francis. Then you really...
My heart.
Okay. Acting! Anyway, the plot of Star Crash that they ripped off from pretty much every other science fiction movie ever goes like this.
Such as it is.
The galaxy has been plunged into war by the evil Count Zarth Arn, who has...
Zarth Arn.
That's his name.
Try to say that 5 times fast.
No.
Okay. There would have been a character played by Orson Welles had Orson stooped that low.
Don't insult Orson's memory like that.
Well, he likes playing weird named characters like that. Anyway.
These people couldn't afford to buy Orson Welles lunch. Never mind,
True.
Never
Need lunches with Orson. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And have him star in their movie. With a new weapon, he is determined to rule the galaxy and wrest power from the beloved emperor of the galaxy, who is actually, for a change, the good guy in this. How often do you hear of something where the emperor is the good guy? Anyway, whatever. Wrong emperor.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, our hero Stella Star is tasked with finding the Emperor's son Simon, who has disappeared on a recon mission. She's joined in her quest by Acton, her sidekick, who has these apparently magical powers that we don't know where the hell they're from, and a robot named Ellie or Eli, I couldn't quite understand them half the time, who is this large, clunky-looking robot that for some reason talks like Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. I don't understand that. And so on and so forth, and we get giant robots, Amazon women, cave people, the final showdown with Count Zarth Arn, and oh my gosh, is this movie awful!
Caroline Munro as Stella Star, Marjo Gortner as Acton, Judd Hamilton as Eel or Ellie or Eli, David Hasselhoff in one of his first roles as Simon, the Emperor's only son, Joe Spinell as Count Darth Arn, Robert Tessier,
Zarth.
Zarth Arn? What did I say? Oh, I'm sorry, I said Darth, sorry. Zarth Arn. Robert Tessier as Thor, Chief of the Imperial State Police. Nadia Cassini as Corellia, Queen of the Amazon Women. And in a role he should have known better, Christopher Plummer as the Emperor. Oh, my Lord, this hurt.
Yeah.
This was terrible. And this was drive-in fare when it first came out.
I'm sure it was. I remember seeing this movie. I actually remember seeing this movie, not paying for this movie, seeing this movie. When I was a younger lady, I remember it was on one of the channels, the afternoon movie channels, like Channel 6 or something. And I remember watching it because I had a thing for David Hasselhoff back then, which is probably the only reason they showed this awful, terrible, oh my Lord, and Taylor, does this movie suck? Piece of celluloid crap.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, another country's attempt to cash in on the beauty and majesty and pageantry that was Star Wars.
With the budget of maybe a local show recreation at a local bowling alley.
And failing. Star Crash is an example of why some people should never, ever, 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 ever,
Could you please stop doing your Taylor Swift imitation?
Do science fiction movies. I don't understand the point of having the robot talk with a southern accent. I don't understand what the hell the deal was with Marjo Gortner's character. Is he some kind of an alien? Is he some kind of a holy man or something? Because he has these magical powers that nobody explains where the hell they come from.
Fairies.
Yeah, that must be it.
Well,
they can't say
nanobites.
They can't say the Force because they would have got the hell suit out of them. Carolyn Monroe
maybe they come from the Schwartz.
No. Carolyn Monroe is a very, very beautiful woman. And as a space heroine, she is a very, very beautiful woman.
Candy Clark ended up dubbing her for this movie.
I still think that was probably, maybe they felt the British accent was off-putting or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, this movie definitely fits into the oeuvre of Mystery Science Theater 3000. It is truly terrible.
I think
the acting is terrible. The writing is terrible. The special effects are non-existent.
I think this movie should be fitting into a garbage disposal and then shoved down said garbage disposal with a baseball bat, and someone should drop a hand grenade down after it just to make sure it blows the hell up.
And you know what I'd say to that?
What?
I've got a bad feeling about this. Oh, wait a minute. No, I've got a good feeling about that. Because we would never have to look at it again.
The Mystery Science Theater 3000 gang who had to sit through this movie, and you all deserve a medal, knighthood, and sainthood for it. The segments and jokes and stuff that we had included a spin the bottle segment between Jonah and the bots, which got more than a little awkward. The invention exchange involved the Mads invention being the Bandito, which was more than a little bit culturally insensitive, and Jonah's invention being BB Servo, which the people over at Lucasfilm took major exception to. You can't be surprised at that.
It was funny, though.
It was funny as hell, but it was also, Lucas has lawyers and they get mean.
Well, especially now that they are owned by Disney, who have no patience for that stuff at all.
I'm more scared of them than I am of the First Order. The song during the show that the bots and Jonah performed was a song called UFO, which was actually pretty funny. Crow came up with a science fiction epic called Crow T. Robots World War Space. Don't. Leave it alone. And we get visits from Acton from the film, actually being played by Jonah. And, oh gosh, you guys really deserve all the credit in the world for trying to put up with this horrible, horrible, dreadful, terrible movie.
I haven't seen either one of them for a long time. They used to be everywhere. Caroline Monroe did tons of stuff in the 80s. Marjo Gortner was all over the place in the 70s and 80s. And I don't remember... I haven't seen Marjo, in all honesty, I don't think since Speak Up America got canceled. He hosted that short-lived spinoff of Real People in the early 80s, and along with Rhonda Bates and Jane Kennedy. And I don't remember that ever seeing him in another movie after that. There's a reason. Marjo was a nice person. He was a good talk show guest, but he really wasn't very good acting.
Well, my whole thing with this film is obviously we're going for the whole mystical, force kind of a thing.
Oh, he was Raiden.
What?
He was this movie's version of Raiden. Like the James Remar Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. What? Wouldn't you call that an accurate comparison?
Words fail me. I don't really...
Well, I don't want to compare him to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, no, I realize... Yeah, well, no, please. But the movie was trying like hell, too, without actually...
Or even Dirk McLarge from Space Mutiny.
Eek.
Yeah.
This
anyway.
film sucks. Actually, I wonder if that was the reason Candy Clark got the job, because at the time she was married to Marjo Gortner, so I don't know.
Could be.
But Star Crash. Wow. You can check out The Misty on Netflix. Gird your loins.
And what's next on the 13 Report?
Next on the 13 Report will be the classic The Land That Time Forgot, which is so classic I forgot about it.
Next week's 13 Report, stick around! And in the meantime, you can check that out on Netflix, or if you have Brave Soul, Star Crash is probably available somewhere without the Misty. I don't know how you'd manage it.
I don't either.
The best movies! Subject Cinema!
Want to know what top titles from film and TV are hitting home video this week? Hi, I'm T.C. Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out Tuesday Digidex, our weekly roundup of all the new home video releases in the U.S. each week. Whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming you're looking for, we've got it covered. Tuesday Digidex, every Tuesday morning, from Subject Cinema at eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
Subject Cinema. Drive-in summer.
Chipmunk.
Oh, Alamo loves to put its foot in hot water.
Oh, yeah.
Alamo Drafthouse is one of the top instigators around the country for indoor theaters, and they definitely know how to make something crazy happen. So this week, when they announced that they are going to do all-women screenings over the next week of the new DC Comics film Wonder Woman, and this includes not just audiences, but projectionists, chefs, other theater staff will all be women for certain shows. I think that's pretty cool because Wonder Woman's been important to girls for decades.
Yep.
But it did trigger kind of a backlash. You want to explain what's going on there?
Well, it turns out that the idea of a whole bunch of women getting together and having a good time without them really hurts some guys' feelings. Because men don't get entitled to do all the things that they want to do whenever they want to do them. Oh, no, wait, they do. A whole bunch of guys decided to whine and bitch and moan and act like a bunch of little crybabies about the idea that Alamo was putting together an all-women showing of Wonder Woman. That they're only allowing in women or people who identify as women.
And this is not for every show, and this is only at one of their locations. I don't know if they've spread it beyond that, but there'll be plenty of chances for everybody to see it too. It's just for certain shows. Just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. Well, apparently a bunch of men decided that this wasn't fair. Besides the fact that it's going to be showing a whole bunch of other places, and the fact that maybe a lot of women don't want to sit there and listen to you make catcalls and degrading sexual comments about a strong female character, which you are clearly intimidated by.
I would agree with that, actually. These men are claiming discrimination, and I'm like, really?
To which I say, go
at Family Show.
Tell it on the mountain.
Seriously, guys, you're making us look bad. Come on.
And you really don't...
Stop acting like morons.
And the whole making guys look bad, you really don't need help with that.
I know. Unfortunately, we don't, do we?
Bless your hearts. These are the same bunch of nitwits that were probably out there screaming and pitching a bitch because the lead character and the focal point of the most recent Star Wars film, The Force Awakens, was a woman.
I agree. It's probably that same group of people.
And also, her co-star was a man of color. Oh no!
That works for both of the Star Wars, both The Force Awakens and Rogue One.
Go piss up a rope,
guys. Come on. The ladies deserve something. Wonder Woman has been an important character. She was the first female comic character that was specifically aimed at girls, and she really has been an important symbol in the lives of many women over the years, including Gloria Steinem herself, who put her on the first issue of Ms. Magazine on the cover back in the 1970s. Wonder Woman, this is the first major superhero character that's female to get her own film, and that's really something, considering that Wonder Woman, the TV series, was the biggest of all the superhero shows in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
Ratings-wise. Hulk was around longer, but it didn't get the same kind of ratings. And I think that there's a disparity there, guys. They deserve something.
Yeah, this is the first film where the female, like you mentioned, superhero female lead film. Some people might argue, hey, wait a minute, what about Elektra? Elektra was more of an anti-hero than an actual hero, and besides which, that movie sucked.
And she's technically a second lister.
Yeah.
She was not a main character, and has never been a main character in the Marvel universe. She's always been a backup and a sidekick. And stuff.
So for all the guys out there whose little feelings are hurt,
and we won't even talk about Catwoman.
Please no. Because of the idea that women are allowed to go into something and enjoy themselves that men aren't allowed to go into for one night. Considering that women have been dealing with this for, 2,000 years or so, I think you'll survive, you bunch of dramatic chipmunks.
Subject Cinema. Try me a summer.
Don't just sit around being a passive listener. Get involved. Take a moment to write to Subject Cinema and tell us what you think of the show, what your opinions are, what you think of the industry, and more. You may even get your letter read on the air. We love hearing from you. After all, you're who we're here for. So take a couple moments and shoot us an email. subjectcinema@popcornandroses.com. That's subjectcinema@popcorn, the letter N, roses.com.
Come tumble with us. PNR Networks is on Tumblr at popcornandroses.tumblr.com. Follow us today. Need to catch up on all things PNR? Then subscribe to PNR Networks Weekly Blast. Our weekly newsletter brings you all the latest goings-on, the latest news and podcasts from eCinemaOne, eCinemaBoston, Indie Film Spotlight, Platinum Rose's Garden, Mirrorball Mayhem, Save Our Screens, Cavebabble, Mashed Up Madness, and other great PNR Networks websites, all in one easy-to-check-out newsletter every Monday morning. Check out stuff you've missed and find great things you may not have known about, all powered by the great staff at paper.li. Subscribe by clicking the Weekly Blast block on our sidebar. The PNR Network's Weekly Blast. Don't miss out. Subscribe today.
Subject Cinema. Try me a summer. Dixie Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer Salutes are co-presented by drive-ins.com, your one-stop source for all information on drive-ins around the U.S. and around the world. You can find it at drive-ins.com. Subject Cinema's Drive-In salutes the South Drive-In, the last remaining drive-in in Columbus, Ohio. They have been in operation for 67 years and currently are a twin. They have 2 screens running from mid-March to the end of September every year with a staff of 20 people manning their ticket booth and their concession stand and such.
And working very hard.
They call themselves the No Hassle Drive-In, which is probably because you don't get hassled about anything, maybe.
Hopefully not.
There are a ton of indoor cinemas in the Columbus area, having lived there a few years ago. But the closest drive-in to them is 30 miles away. And their goal is to make everyone's night out as enjoyable as possible. It's clearly a family market. They also a family drive-in. They also run a flea market 3 days a week. And they do have T-shirts for the drive-in for sale at their concession stand again, as always, to help promote it. And their email newsletter is available on their website. You can sign up to get all of the latest shows showing there. We will have a link to South Drive-In on our show notes, so you can check it out for yourself. And we are happy to see that they are still in business all these years ago. South is the one I remember seeing when I lived in Lancaster, when we would drive by it occasionally. It is near the south part of the I-270 loop. And I'm amazed that any of them in Columbus are still going. And to Skip Yasinoff and his his team out there. That's hard work. It's got to be hard work to keep you going in a market like Columbus, because, I mean, it must be crazy.
Well, they must obviously have people that love them very much if they're still in business so long, and we hope that you, if you live in the area, you will go check them out as a first-timer, and if you have a good experience at the drive-in, tell other people so they can go too and share a fun experience with you in their cars while you're there in your car.
And don't forget to tell them you heard about them on Subject Cinema, and that's why it is one of this week's, the South Drive-In in Columbus, Ohio, is one of this week's Subject Cinema Drive-In Summer Salutes.
Salute!
Okay, when it comes to drive-ins, a lot of drive-ins have had Grindhouse Fare in the 1970s, because it was a really big thing then. And then today's horror films still show there a lot. And I think that the king of the gore, Herschel Gordon Lewis, was really a staple of drive-in movies in the 60s.
Definitely. The man that was known as the godfather of gore, Herschel Gordon Lewis, gave a lot to the world of cinema, which a lot of upper-class critics probably wouldn't, admit to. One of the things that he gave was his Blood trilogy. This is part of that 1963's Blood Feast. The other films in the Blood trilogy are 2000 Maniacs and Color Me Blood Red. Blood Feast tells the story of a town being besieged by a crazed killer who attacks and dismembers women, leaving their bodies in bloody pieces. As Detective Pete Thornton tries to find out who's causing all of this mayhem and chaos, this is not exactly what you'd call a mystery to the audience, because we know. It's pretty much given away at the beginning of the movie that the killer is a mad Egyptian named Fawad Ramses, who is a caterer by day and a crazed killer by night, chopping up these women and using the body parts to create a sacrifice for an Egyptian goddess called Ishtar. And the daughter of a socialite, Mrs. Fremont, is in Mr. Fuad's sights as his latest victim to put together this grisly jigsaw puzzle. And it's up to Detective Pete to save the day.
Detective Pete is about 30 years too old for her, but
and also thick as a brick. But
William Kerwin as Detective Pete Thorwin, Mal Arnold as Fuad Ramses, Connie Mason as Suzette Freeman, Scott H. Hall as Frank, the police captain, Lynn Bolton as Mrs. Fremont, Tony Calvert as Trudy Sanders, Ashlyn Martin as Marcy, the girl on the beach, Sandra Sinclair as Pat Tracy, Astrid Olsen as the motel victim, and Herschel Gordon Lewis does a voice uncredited as the radio announcer. Mm-hmm. This thing is a piece of garbage from beginning to end.
Okay.
It's a classic, considered a classic, and he has a huge fandom.
He does.
People love Herschel Gordon Lewis stuff.
They do. People who are into these kind of movies really like this kind of a thing.
We put ourselves through this one and a couple of his other films a few years ago, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, the blood in this is...
Tempera paint?
Yeah, for those of us who are devotees of the Hammer films, that would include me.
We have more Hammer stuff coming up in weeks ahead.
People have often complained about the Hammer films using, and they actually came up with a term for it, Kensington gore, blood that is extremely bright red, blood dripping down from things and people and such. That had absolutely nothing on Herschel Gordon Lewis.
This was your idea to watch this a few years ago.
It was.
Because we had seen something weird at that point.
We had
something weird on showing on our cable system at the time.
We got hopelessly addicted on something weird in the space of about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And they showed a lot of trailers from Grindhouse films. And we saw the trailer for this and both sat there and alternated between gagging and laughing our heads off. So we decided to watch this, which actually wound up with a sequel. There was a sequel made in 2002 called Blood Feast 2 All You Can Eat. Har, har, har. Anyway, moving on.
I know you're not supposed to say it when you're enjoying it, but yum!
This...
Julia joke, anyway.
So, we're watching Blood Feast, and we're kind of alternating between laughing and gagging as we're watching the film.
Like that.
Like, for me, the first thing that set me off on a rant, the whole point of the film is this Egyptian guy, Fuad, who is trying to put together this sacrifice for the Egyptian goddess Ishtar, which is all well and nifty, except there is no Egyptian goddess called Ishtar. There was a Mesopotamian goddess called Ishtar, who was the goddess of love, beauty, sex, desire, fertility, war, combat, and political power. I don't really see how all those things fit together, but whatever.
Or a 1980s movie with Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty.
Yeah, that. Speaking as somebody who did a little mythological research as a kid because I was a geek that way.
She's obsessed.
I was like, what Egyptian goddess Ishtar? What are you people talking about?
Well, honey, you gotta remember, people who go to see this aren't really going to see the plot.
Oh no, I realize that. Nobody stood up, pointed at the screen and said, that's mythologically incorrect, I'm leaving! I realize that. Nobody did that but me.
Nobody's gonna do the kind of thing that I did when, where you get one person saying that at the theater when they saw Blood Feast, the same way that I was the only person laughing at the ding-a-dong joke and Mia and Earl and the Dying Girl.
Mm-hmm. Also, the thing about this film, they had the both of us going, you've got to be kidding. This is one of the films, and now by 1963, cinema was changing, the world was changing, everything was changing, and a lot of stuff got thrown out the window. And Mr. Lewis obviously had the idea that people wanted to see blood and guts, so by heaven, he was going to give it to them. So we have close-up scenes... Very badly. We have close-up scenes of dismemberment and tongues being pulled out and legs being chopped off, etc., etc., etc. Now, of course, the ironic thing is, when you see that when it's done right or well or biologically accurate in films like
Saw or Hostel or one of those,
and stuff like that, that gets called torture porn, and everybody looks down their nose at it, clutches their pearls, and goes, think of the children.
And the critics love it.
And the critics love it the first time around.
Yeah.
By the time you get to Saw 87, people are a little bit, I shouldn't be that flip, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The critics have been less kind as the series has gone on. But anyway, my point being...
They were never kind to these.
My point being that it's kind of funny that when it's done incredibly cheesily, people bitch, and when it's done incredibly accurately, people bitch.
Yeah.
It just depends on which end of the thing you're at. Because we're watching, there was this one point where a woman's heart is being pulled out, and I'm like, have you guys actually seen a heart? Because that kind of looks more like a kidney.
Or a liver.
Or a liver. And you pulled it out of her...
probably bought in the meat department at the local grocery store.
And you pulled it out of her chest. I think you might have done her a favor, because if that's her heart, she's got some major problems.
Or she's Gallifreyan.
The acting in this film is crap.
Acting?
It's crap.
Acting?
Yeah.
Acting. Okay. Acting!
William Kerwin as Detective Pete Thornton is your basic Bob Boxbody sort of hero that you get in these films. And I'm like, I wouldn't trust this guy to solve the opening of an envelope, never mind, dismemberment murders going on all over town.
Yeah.
But if you've never seen Blood Feast and you're of the opinion that you've seen everything, until you've seen Blood Feast, you haven't seen everything. What did you think of it?
Oh, it's terrible.
Okay.
It's terrible. It's amusing in its own sort of way, because the effects are just so bad. It's like, oh, God. But it's also gross. You don't want to eat while you're watching it, because we tried and we had to stop. And it was like, ew, no, I don't think this is going to work. The acting's terrible. The writing's terrible. The effects are terrible. It's good for a laugh. That's about all for me. But I imagine up on a drive-in screen, it's pretty freaking scary.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure, like, anybody that went to this movie that was, younger and saw this would have been freaked the hell out by it. And I'm sure that local drive-ins probably got a lot of enraged calls from parents that were like, what the hell are you showing our kids kind of stuff.
Interestingly enough, AllMovie website wrote this about the film later. Quote, the plot is threadbare, the acting is on a par with the clumsiest of high school plays, and the direction is static and uninvolving. Nevertheless, this is one of the most important releases in film history, ushering in a new acceptance of explicit violence that was obviously just waiting to be exploited, close quote. So that's pretty accurate.
It is, really.
Yeah.
When you think about later films, it's really odd to think that Herschel Gordon Lewis was actually a bit of a trendsetter with this film. When you think of... No, seriously, when you think about it, when you think of later films where you've got this mad killer out there chopping up nubile young babes with a machete, does that sound familiar? I mean, slap a hockey mask on this guy, and, at least this guy had a mission. His whole mission was putting together this sacrifice for his goddess, which is somehow slightly more of a mission than just arbitrarily, chopping up teenagers because they happen to go to a camp that you drowned at,
Well, specifically teenagers having sex.
Yeah.
Or thinking about sex.
Or having had sex. Or having had sex or doing drugs or whatever.
Typically known as the dead teenager movies.
Yep.
Anyway.
When you think about it, this was the precursor to Jason, Michael Myers, all that stuff.
Yep.
So do we really have Herschel Gordon Lewis to thank for it? I mean,
probably.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think so.
What do you think of Blood Feast? Let us know at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com.
Subject Cinema. Drive in summer.
Now you can bring all your favorite PNR Network shows to your television. Check out PNR Networks on Roku. It's all of what PNR Networks has to offer, all in one place. The entire PNR Networks podcast family. Subject Cinema Reviews, Platinum Rose's Garden, Mirrorball Mayhem, 3-Minute Weekend, Cavebabble, and Mashed Up Madness. Plus the latest videos from PNR Networks and Larry 411. All right at your fingertips. And even more is on the horizon. It's literally thousands of hours, a decade worth of great audio and video, all under one roof. And best of all, it's all free. The PNR Network's Roku channel. Simply go to the On Roku area of any of our websites or click on the Roku button on the sidebar to subscribe. And don't forget to tell all your Roku-owning friends we're here as well.
eCinemaBoston is your best choice for all the latest news and info about happenings in the world of film here in the hub of the universe. Local theater listings, ticketing info, reviews of local venues, spotlight on Boston actors, the latest film shoots, and a whole lot more. If you're in the Metro Boston area, you need eCinemaBoston from PNR Networks. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaBoston.com.
Subject Cinema. Drive in summer. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Wouldn't you know it, we do our bi-monthly or monthly Take a Vow segment a couple weeks ago, and sure enough, as soon as we do it, we've lost a bunch more people. And it's like, dang it, that stinks. One of my favorite character actors of all time was Powers Booth. Powers Booth, I first noticed him in a big way when he, in 1980, had the guts during an actor strike to go up and accept his Emmy for Best Actor in a Miniseries for his chillingly terrifying portrayal of Jim Jones in a movie about the Guyana massacre. I think that was in 83, actually. I don't know what year it happened, but I have been a fan of his ever since. My favorite thing of his was The Emerald Forest, one of the most underseen films of all time, and terrific. He also played Philip Marlowe for an HBO series in the 1980s, and also did tons of television and movies. Most recently, he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and had appeared in those shadowy cones in The Winter Soldier.
He became part of the Marvel movie universe with the Avengers, playing the character of Gideon Malik. He appeared in another comic book universe film, playing Senator Rourke in Sin City. Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. And he has appeared in tons of movies, as you mentioned, The Emerald Forest. He was in Con Air. He started his career in The Goodbye Girl in 1977 and appeared in everything and anything you could think of in between. And actually wound up also on the DC side of things, doing voices for Justice League and Justice League Unlimited as both a good guy and a bad guy. On the bad guy side, he voiced Gorilla Grodd. And on the good guy side...
Ooh, he's got the perfect voice for that.
And on the good guy side, he voiced Red Tornado.
Yeah, I will definitely miss him. I always thought he was fantastic. Soundgarden lead vocalist and lead guitarist Chris Cornell committed suicide on May 18th, he said.
Yeah.
While on tour in Detroit, taking everybody by surprise. He was 52. This leaves all of the great grungers, lead singers are gone now except Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain is long gone, and Lane Staley and Scott Weiland and now Chris Cornell. So it leaves Eddie as the last of the big five.
Yeah.
Chris was also in Temple of the Dog with Eddie, and he also worked with his own band Audioslave over the years. Wrote some terrific music, best known for Black Hole Sun and his acoustic cover of Billie Jean, Michael Jackson's classic song.
Chris will also be remembered by followers of the James Bond franchise as writing and singing one of the most kick-ass themes for a James Bond film. You Know My Name.
Kickstarting the reboot.
From Casino Royale.
Yep.
Fantastic song. It's just so sad. He suffered from depression for many years and unfortunately, had thousands and thousands of fans and loved ones, and they couldn't reach him through his pain.
Former Fox News executive Roger Ailes passed away after complications from a fall that same day, May 18th. He was 77. Ailes was ousted from Fox News amidst big controversy in 2016 over sexual harassment charges by Gretchen Carlson and Megyn Kelly, among others, against a number of people, including himself, Bill O'Reilly, and a number of other employees. Ailes was a genius, though. He took Fox News to the #1 spot in the cable news wars and held it there for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
It just to see him lose that after just leaving the Fox less than a year. Roger Friedman, who used to be with Fox, was kind of snarky, saying, well, he fell in the house he bought with his settlement money, so what can you say? I thought that was kind of nasty. Actress Dina Merrill passed away recently also. Merrill, one of the true philanthropists of Hollywood. This woman was worth a fortune and spent most of it on charity over the years. Best known as an actress from the 1940s and 50s, she continued to appear on television throughout most of her career. I remember seeing her on The Love Boat a couple of times and a few other things.
She appeared on a lot of TV shows and movies. She was in the Elizabeth Taylor drama Butterfield 8. She also made an appearance, as did a lot of people at the time,
on Batman.
Yep. She was the villainous Calamity Jan, the female sidekick to Cliff Robertson's character Shame, who she was married to at the time. Dina Merrill was 93 years old and passed away from complications due to dementia.
We also lost the first Bond, but not the first Bond. Sir Roger Moore passed away on Friday. He was 87?
89.
He's the first James Bond to pass on. Sean Connery is still around.
Yeah.
Of the big screen, Barry Nelson's been dead for a while, and he played it on TV first, way back in the 50s. My mother loved Roger Moore when I was a little kid. He was on the television series The Saint, and she just thought he was drop-dead handsome and suave and loved everything about him, and she remained a big fan of him when he went to the James Bond films.
Yeah.
He originated the role of James Bond, third James Bond, excuse me. You tend to forget about George Lazenby. in Live and Let Die in 1973 and would play it through 1985's A View to a Kill. Mm-hmm. So over a decade and 8 or 9 films. That's the longest running Bond so far.
Yeah.
It's a shame some of them aren't the best if you are a fan of the Connerys. I personally like Roger Moore's take on the character, kind of snarky, a little bit humorous. Love Man with the Golden Gun, which is my favorite of all of his movies. Well, and that has a lot to do with Christopher Lee.
It's Roger Moore versus Christopher Lee. Come on. Actually, the last Bond film that he did, View to a Kill, was 85.
85, so we played it for 12 years.
Yeah. I think he was actually my first Bond that I saw at the theater. I don't think he was the first Bond I think the first Bond movie I saw was a Connery on television, but I did like Roger's take. You know, he was a very urbane, very sophisticated Bond. You could almost kind of picturing him wink at the camera like, isn't this a lark kind of a thing.
Yeah.
He was a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, and he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 2003.
And he loved to make fun of his image. He said over the years that one of the funnest parts he'd ever played was himself in the 2 Cannonball Run films with Burt Reynolds and his crew, and said he had a lot of fun doing both of those films because he was basically lampooning his James Bond character.
Yeah.
And he was a riot at it.
Also, it's funny that you mentioned that because, he definitely took the whole being a star about, being a James Bond actor in tongue-in-cheek. He did a voice for the film 2010 film Cats and Dogs: The Revenge of Kitty Galore. He did the voice of a talking cat named Lazenby.
Which is really funny.
Which is really hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
Roger Moore did a lot of humanitarian work and will definitely be missed by his friends, family, and fans.
Yep. Actor Jared Martin passed away last week also. He was 75, and I believe he was battling cancer at the time he passed away. Martin was a character actor. You'd seen him in a lot of movies in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those, hey, it's that guy.
He starred in 2 shows of his own. The short-lived, wonderful, I loved it, short-lived science fiction show Fantastic Journey in 1977, and also in the television series War of the Worlds in 1988 through 1990. But he's probably best known over the years as the true love of Sue Ellen Ewing, Dusty Farlow?
Yeah.
Son of Clayton Farlow on the television series Dallas. I always loved Jared Martin. I went out of my way to see him in practically everything after Fantastic Journey. Mm-hmm. Loved him in that show where he got to work with a lot of great people, including the reason I was drawn in was Ike Eisenman, who had been in Escape to Witch Mountain, but he was also co-starring with Carl Franklin, who's gone on to be a big director and writer, and Roddy McDowall in one of the few series he's done over the years.
Yeah.
And Katie Saylor also was in that, and I love that show. I wish MeTV would bring that on. I'd love to see those again.
And we lost a pioneer of rock and roll yesterday on May 27th. Greg Allman passed away. He was 69 years old, a member of the Allman Brothers Band, known for so many great hits, including Whipping Post, and known for his private life as well as his public life as a rocker, as being involved with and married for a little while to one of the divas of music, Cher. He lived life. You can definitely say that the Allmans definitely lived life. He also, like I mentioned, did quite a bit of music and made a lot of people happy with the music that he did and the concerts that he was involved with, and he will definitely be missed.
Say goodbye to all these people, and we wish them the best, and we send our condolences to their family and friends and invite them to take a final bow with us.
I told you.
I didn't know. I thought it was interesting.
I was sitting here when we were talking about the last segment we were doing. I was like, I swear I saw Greg Allman in an episode of the syndicated series Superboy, and I was right. He was in a 1990 episode called Carnival of the Adventures of Superboy. I knew I'd seen him do that.
Your pinball brain scares me sometimes.
If it makes you feel any better, it scares me too. So
we hope you're going to stay and come on the road with us all summer long. We're going to have a lot of fun. In weeks ahead, we're going to have contributions from two of the PNR Networks family. Eric Lyon of Cavebabble is doing some stuff for us, and so is Anthony Lamberti, who is about to launch his own new show, Comic Grotto, with his friend Pee-wee. They'll both be contributing in the future weeks. We also hope that you will contribute. Go to the new Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer website at subjectcinema.com. Go all the way to the bottom of the site, and you can find a place where you can leave us a speak pipe up to 5 minutes long. You can do it online if you have a computer, mic attached to your computer. If not, you can do it from your phone. Leave us your drive-in memories so we can bring them up and play them on the show for everybody to hear.
And share them with everybody else.
Share them, because drive-ins are fun. They are fun entertainment. A lot of them these days specialize in fantasy, in fantasy, family entertainment, which in some parts of the country is a fantasy anymore, and they also do regular fare, and it's a great thing, and that's why we've decided to spend this whole summer looking back at some crazy movies from the past and the current movies and special features and everything, saluting the drive-ins. If you work at a drive-in and you would like to be featured on Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summers Salutes, you can get information from that on the Subject Cinema website as well. There'll be an area on the site where you can click and fill out a form to be part of the salute. We're saluting them all summer, and we'll do it on a first-come, first-served basis. So please do that quickly. And you'll also be, in addition to that, you'll also be featured in our write-ups, which will happen during the week on our parent website, eCinemaOne.com. Other stuff we have going on. If you'd like to check us, if you're new, if you've been around for a long time and are just joining us for usual stuff, you know how things work. But if you're new and checking us out for the drive-in stuff, we have a lot of other stuff going on, including Kim's show, Platinum Rose's Garden, which is ending its season this week with a recap of season 12 of Supernatural.
Yes. We have come to the end of the road for another season on Supernatural, which means another Roads So Far edition of Platinum Rose's Garden. So hopefully you'll come and listen to my show where I wax philosophically on season 12 and what we can hopefully look forward to in season 13 of Supernatural.
Unlike all of our most of our other shows, Platinum Rose's Garden is not safe for work and is for mature audiences only. There's also our two mini shows from Subject Cinema. They come on Tuesday and Friday, respectively. Tuesday, Digidex and 3-Minute Weekend, where we bring you all the latest new releases. Tuesdays is DVDs, Blu-rays, and streaming. Fridays in theaters. And we hope that you'll check those out, as well as our Thursday show, Subject Cinema's Front Row 5 and 10. This week we counted up our top 10 top 10 hits we absolutely loathed.
Yep.
And these were music hits, just the songs we couldn't stand that we'd like to throw into the sun and get rid of forever.
Yes, that is definitely.
And there's a lot of fun, and we'll have fun with that throughout the summer as well. There's also my show, Catastrophe Vortex, all about the wonderful world of disaster movies. It's been off for a couple weeks. It'll be back this Wednesday, and we hope you will check it out. And also check out Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon. They're in hiatus for right now, but we'll be back with new shows soon. And until then, they've got almost 200, or may have passed 200, I've forgotten, shows to listen to. Games, movies, TV, odd things to eat, and a lot more.
Yep.
With Eric and Valerie Lyon at Cavebabble.com. Want to remind you also to check out our weekly stuff on our websites. eCinemaOne is our all-encompassing movie website with news, commentary, podcasts, and a lot more. You can find it at eCinemaOne.com. And eCinemaBoston.com, our Boston-centric site, since we're based out of Boston. All the latest Boston film news and stuff. Recently did our huge Boston Springs the Festival show. Still have a PDF coming up, and it was supposed to be out today, but because of stuff that happened during the week, I'm not quite finished with it, which is not unusual. I was almost a month late with it last year. Hopefully it'll be up sometime this coming week. It's almost finished. And that'll have links to over 100 films coming out probably in the next year out there. And we also want to remind you that we have a Subject Cinema app to make it super easy to listen on your phone. You can download the app for free from Google Play, and we are working on an iTunes app, and hopefully we'll have it up before the end of the month. And we also ask you that if you enjoy Subject Cinema, to please take a moment to donate. Patreon.com/PNRNetworks. You help out with your donations of $2, at minimum $2, but hey, you get perks for everything you do. And right now we're kind of hurting. We need to get some new equipment. We have some other bills we've added to help make the site better, and we could really use your support. So if you like Subject Cinema, pass on the word to your friend, tell them where they can come listen to us, and donate through patreon.com /PNRNetworks and help us make a little money on the side to help the show get better for you all the time. I think it's time to put the top up and head home.
I think you're right.
Come on, kids. Let's get out of the glove compartment where Mommy wanted to stash you. No, they aren't really in the glove compartment. We put them on the back window, aren't they? I suppose Fred wants to go back in your purse.
Yep.
Whack.
He's a purse duck after
Whack.
all. That's his natural habitat.
Yeah, it is. And Barry the sock monkey makes his in every normal
Rainbow.
Person. Rainbow sock monkey. And Hubert, our hedgehog, and so on and so forth. But you're right, they're all stuff. But they're our kids. We love them.
Yeah, we do.
They're our children. We choose to keep it that way because it's easier.
We don't have to send them to college.
Yes,
so.
exactly. Is this kind of like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
A little.
Oh, I don't know if I like that or not. Anyway, until next time. Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
We'll see you at the drive-in.
Bye.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR